The year 2022 marked an evolution for Samsung's Galaxy smartphone series, as the company combined the S and Note models into the Galaxy S22 Ultra. It truly lived up to its Ultra moniker with a large AMOLED display, support for the S Pen, and the highest possible build quality and specifications. After a year, Samsung has released the Galaxy S23 Ultra, a phone that is as large and feature-rich, and essentially embodies the no-compromise strategy for Android phones. But can the S23 Ultra still stand in as the pinnacle of Android phones, despite just receiving minor improvements over last year's model and a price increase? Although the construction of the Galaxy S23 Ultra is excellent, it is also nearly identical to that of its predecessor. With smooth aluminum rails around the edge of the gadget and a matte glass rear panel, its casework is sturdy and of a high quality, making it seem as nice as it feels in the touch. This reduces the likelihood that the phone will slip out of your hand or off the edge of a table. With this phone, the increased grip on the rear panel is important, because using it one-handed requires some pretty serious hand acrobatics. Going from the navigation controls at the bottom to the notification panel at the top requires a little awkward jiggling of the phone. It's a good thing that Samsung has included some one-handed mode capabilities and clever software hacks that occasionally make it more bearable. For example, you can swipe up or down anywhere on the home screen to access the apps menu or down anywhere to expand the notification panel. There is no escaping the reality that this phone is enormous, though. The screen measures 6.8 inches diagonally, and the whole device weighs 234 grams, making it physically quite close to the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Its height is almost comparable to that of its closest Android competitor, the Xperia 1 Mark IV, although the Sony is slimmer, due to its 21:9 aspect ratio. The Galaxy S23 Super is almost the epitome of a feature-packed smartphone, but its predecessor was also. What's new then? The superior camera technology on the Ultra, which is a 200 megapixels main sensor as opposed to the S22 Ultra's 108 megapixels main camera, is the main selling point for Samsung. This is supported by a 12 megapixels ultra-wide camera, a 10 megapixels periscope telephoto lens, and a 10 megapixels telephoto lens. In actual use, the S23 Ultra camera is excellent, combining excellent performance with user-friendly software, so that even the most inexperienced photographers can take high-quality pictures. Little has changed with the Galaxy S23 Ultra in other areas. For instance, the 120Hz 1440p screen is remarkably comparable to that of the previous models. Yet, that isn't a problem in everyday use because using it is still enjoyable. The S23 Ultra's display is as silky smooth and sharp as you'd want it to be, making it easy to swipe and tap through the One UI 5.1 operating system, or scroll through social media and news feeds. Regarding One user interface, Samsung is distributing its most recent software with the S23 Ultra. It adds a few new camera shooting modes and quality of life enhancements, but otherwise, the OS doesn't seem to have undergone any significant modifications this year. The S Pen, a stylus once connected to Samsung's now defunct Galaxy Note series, is another feature that has come to be associated with the Galaxy Ultra line. You can scribble notes on the screen and even use it to remotely control some of the phone's features. It pops in and out of the frame with a nice click and vibration. Lastly, Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 CPU powers the S23 Ultra, however the S23 receives a special for Galaxy Edition in this case. The suffix doesn't imply anything, in fact, it only indicates that this model of the 8 Gen 2 has a little faster clock speed than those found on other devices. In actual use, the S23 Ultra is incredibly quick and snappy, with no discernible lag or stuttering while opening apps. With Samsung's reputation for producing high-quality screens for smartphones and televisions, it is not surprising that the S23 Ultra's picture quality is generally great. With the large AMOLED screen, movies look fantastic and tend toward the bright, vibrant colors that have come to be associated with Samsung. The OLED technology makes the black levels stand out right away, and there is enough of dark detail as a juvenile Jin Erso flees during an Empire attack to find safety in a remote cave. Even though the rocks are primarily in shade, there is still a fair bit of detail visible on them. Overall, the Ultra's display does a good job of capturing environmental, skin, and clothing textures in detail, while avoiding the occasionally excessively etched effect of the otherwise excellent Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV. In some instances, we find that the Samsung's slightly more restrained and balanced approach is preferable than the Xperia's too crisp appearance, thanks to its softer display. Yet, we can't dispute that Sony's 4K display has an advantage when it comes to catching additional detail. It also outperforms the Samsung when it comes to motion, since there is some blurring visible when fast-moving spacecraft and character movements are present in this Star Wars movie. Apple's iPhone 14 Pro Max is the real bugaboo for the Galaxy. In comparison, we find that the iPhone is superior in almost every picture-related element. The Dolby Vision-equipped iPhone's display offers considerably more realistic skin tones and natural colors. This is because it adds more subtle detailing even to brightly colored objects, thanks to a slightly less vibrant display and more balanced use of contrast. The iPhone doesn't experience the motion blur that the S23 Ultra does, and because to its own OLED panel, it maintains its advantages in terms of black depth. Given that Samsung made no meaningful effort to improve the viewing experience on the Galaxy S23 Ultra, it falls below the 14 Pro Max, which is now also less expensive when it comes to pictures. Another example of the iterative phone cycle we have been in over the past year is the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Except from the camera and CPU, not much has changed from the model from last year. While both are excellent upgrades, we're not sure if they warrant such a significant price increase. And given that Apple has stepped up its game even further with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, we are a little let down by a phone that costs this much, but offers few to no advancements in the AV department. The Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra is still a fantastic daily phone, and offers good visual and sound quality, but it has to be better for the price. What do you think about the new Galaxy S23 Ultra smartphone? Write your opinion. Thanks for watching. See you soon.